I picked up another neglected Schwinn mountain bike, hoping to turn it into a profit. But the moment I got it home, I realized just how rough it was. Rust covered the bike, dirt was packed in every corner, and the rear tire and tube had completely come off the rim. This wasn't going to be an easy flip, so let's see if I can bring it back to life. I started by putting the bike on the stand and removing the wheels. Next, I took off the chain, which was completely rusted through. There was no way we could leave it like that. Then I removed both derailleurs and disconnected the brake cables. After that, I removed everything from the handlebars and took off the stem and fork. Up to this point, I hadn't found any major issues, but that changed when I got to the cranks. These cranks were completely seized and wouldn't even move, meaning there was no way to pedal the bike. Getting the cranks off was a challenge because they were on extremely tight. I was hoping all the rust and dirt inside had simply locked everything up, and that a thorough cleaning and fresh grease would let them spin again. If not, I would have to replace parts, which could cut into the profit of this bike flip. Once I removed the bottom bracket, I could see that everything inside was covered in rust. It definitely didn't look promising, but I still had hope that it could be saved. With the bike now completely disassembled, I gathered all the rusty parts and hardware and placed them in a container of rust remover overnight. The next morning I came back and started cleaning all the parts so that they could be ready for the rebuild. I used some soapy water and a brush to scrub all the dirt and grime away. I also removed the tube from the rear wheel so I could thoroughly clean the rim and inside of the tire. Now with all the parts cleaned up, it was finally time to start rebuilding the bike. I began with the rear wheel. After inflating the tire, I quickly found a hole in the tube. Using a tube patch kit, I patched it up and reinstalled it on the bike. After pumping it back up, it was holding air perfectly fine, so I reinstalled the tube and tire back on the wheel. Since I was already working on the wheels, I decided to check out how the hubs felt. The front hub spun smoothly, but the rear hub was much harder to turn, so I decided it needed service. I started by removing the cassette and disassembling the hub. With everything exposed, I could inspect the bearings. They didn't look rusty or dirty, just dry, so I packed them with fresh grease to get them moving smoothly again. Then I reassembled everything and the hub felt much better than before. Next, I moved on to the bottom bracket, making sure to apply plenty of grease before installing it. Once that was done, I installed both crank arms and tightened everything down properly. Next, I moved on to the headset. I packed all the bearings with fresh grease before installing the fork. After that, I installed the stem and handlebars, bringing the front end of the bike back together. After that, I quickly installed the shifters and brake levers before putting on both wheels back on the bike. After installing the derailleurs and chain, the bike was almost complete. All that was left to do was installing the grips and connecting all the cables. Finally, I made the last few adjustments, dialing in the brakes and gears to make sure everything shifted and braked properly. And with that, the bike was finally complete. Let's check out the before and after transformation, then take it out for a test ride. I listed the bike on Facebook Marketplace for $125, but unfortunately I haven't sold it yet. I'm expecting to get around 100 for it, but I'll let you know the final selling price in a short I'll post in the next few weeks.